Now the first session, so these are the poor gentlemen who have to try and start waking you all up, is talking about 12D at Southbank Institute of Technology. So we actually have two here today, Bruce Laker, and also the head of the school, Basil Harvey, to talk about how they're actually doing and training 12D people here in Queensland. So introduce Bruce and Basil to give their presentation.
Thanks, Lee. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see some people are still awake. I notice Superman is in his fine form across to our left here. Thank you for last night. Really appreciated that. My name's Bruce Laker. I'm a lecturer at Southbank Institute of Technology. And with me today is Basil Harvey, who is head of the School of Engineering Design, Faculty of Design, Arts and Hospitality at, we call it SBIT. Many people would probably know Basil from the 4D days. He used to write an amount of software from one of the iconic Australian CAD magazines, but that's one of the ghosts in his closet. I'm a lecturer in civil design and drafting. I also teach road design, which the students have in their third semester, and that includes the 12D. Then I go on and tutor in engineering design, and that's in their fourth semester, and they put it all together at that stage, and we bring a lot of the things that they've taught through their other subjects into that particular subject. Myself, I've had some 30 years in the industry, started in railway work and have gone through and done many landmark projects here in Brisbane. I've been involved in a lot of one-off projects, specialty things, plus subdivisions and a lot of general type of design. At this point, I'd like to say that it's a credit to Lee and Alan for the vision that they've had over the years. The software instrument that we see today is really top of its class. It has outclassed everything that we see round. And the other thing I would like to say is to my good mates Noel and Pete, who I have known for a long time, thank you for your countless hours of monotoning tutorials. At this stage I can never understand why they never made it to the iTunes charts, but that's something that might happen yet. So today we're going to talk about the Southbank Institute of Technology, and Basil will tell you about that, and then I will go on and fill you in a little bit more about what we actually undertake in the courses that I teach. So Basil, hand it across to you. You must realise the two of us are teachers, and we probably could talk the socks off a Mumbai beggar, but hopefully someone will keep an eye on the time.
Good morning. I'm a lot more succinct and coordinated than Bruce, so I'll keep to my time frame. Firstly, thanks very much to Lee for inviting me along to the humorous night last night. I've had association with Lee and Alan for the last almost 30 years now, which is almost embarrassing. We're Southbank Institute of Technology, and I'm now the head of School of Engineering and Design. And we're just over the road, so anyone who's wandering out that way out of the convention centre will notice our beautiful buildings. And what I'll just give you a bit of an idea, we run an associate degree, which is a higher education program. There's not many of them in the country, and I'll just control that little sucker. That's good. So our environment, I just want to give you a bit of an idea of our environment. So having a higher education associate degree, our main goal is to try and supply designers who would work in civil engineering consulting, local council, government body offices, and I think we do that pretty well. We've got really good articulation programs running with a lot of universities, particularly QUT, University of Central Queensland, University of Southern Queensland and University of Queensland. So we're recognised very well with the universities where they give us a one-for-one, and we actually get university students coming back to do course minors with us, which is fairly important so we get undergraduates finishing their bachelor's qualifications who realise they need some actual skills in there. This video I've got in here is just a bit of a look around our campus, so that's what you see when you're standing outside. And most importantly, what I just try and point out the way that we try to teach in setting up this whole campus, which is only about 4 or 5 years old. You'll see inside here in the classroom environment. This is actually inside a classroom environment where we do what we call, it's a social learning environment. So rather than having traditional classrooms, we've got this social learning environment which has got things like breakout rooms like here where students can just go out and so really that pan shot there panned across 3 different classrooms with 3 different teachers in there. So it's a bit of a challenge for teachers initially when they get in there, but what it is, it's much more like an office environment. One of the biggest complaints we get is that students quite often complain that they want all of the computers sitting there facing the data projector, and we emphatically will not do that for them. So I think we're quite unique in the way that we deliver what we do. We've got really good industry rapport. We take about 160 students every year, about 100 at the beginning of the year and about 60 middle of the year. That's full-time students. And by the time our students hit their second year, most of them are running part-time because a lot of them get employed. Because with high employment, even when we had the global financial crisis, we still had high employment. And some companies, like GHD, for example, have they had a mandate where they continued to employ cadets even when it was a really bad downturn in the industry. So we got new blood going through there. So I guess I'll hand over to Bruce to show you exactly what we do. We've got a lot of licenses I think we've got lots of licenses of 4D. The only issue is we don't pay as much as you people will pay for them, and thanks very much for that, Lee. Really appreciate that. But I think we're actually doing the job of trying to get people familiar with 12D, and to that point we get a lot of people who actually try and come into our programs just to do the road design and 12D part. We really want them in to do their associate degrees, but we do get a lot of punters who try and do that. So I'll hand over to Bruce, so he'll explain exactly what they're doing with their 12D and any of the issues that he's got, which I'm sure he's going to raise. So over to you, Bruce.
Thanks, Basil. I really do appreciate your valuable time and extensive knowledge. Basil has just been through a process of reaching accreditation for the TAFE, and that has been a very, very difficult thing to do, and he and the team have succeeded, and this shows a great light to the students for the future. So we are part of the Associate Degree of Engineering, and we also offer a Diploma of Computer-Aided Drafting. The students can do this very early on. A lot of them come in, do that, and find that they don't have the ability to go any further and can opt out. There are a lot more, though, that go on and go through the Associate Degree of Engineering, and from that leads them on to higher education through QUT and becoming engineers. And these students are very, very well endowed from us, from the basics all the way through. So it is very pleasing to see people going through and doing their engineering. At the moment, I lecture in civil design and drafting and road design, and I have been doing that since 2008. The road design area is associated with 12D, and I'll go through a bit more of that in a sec. So first of all, we give them a grounding in the civil design and drafting. This is base calculations, so we're going back to first basics, so they understand exactly how to put together a vertical and horizontal design. They go and use the formula, and they will only use calculators. There is nothing done on the computer at all, and they will go through and produce a series of drawings. We have 2 parts to the course. The first part is the road design, and the second part is a pipelines design. So in the first part in roads, they were going through doing longitudinal and cross sections. We give them some of the basics, and from those basics they go on and produce a full longitudinal section and full cross sections onto volumes, and then we take them into the second part of the course, which is sewer and water reticulation. They will do the plans and longitudinal sections for the sewer and plans for water. We use the Brisbane City Council standards, so that they are quite at home with how the standards work. We understand that all the councils and other bodies throughout Australia and overseas use different standards, but we like to base everything on Brisbane as it is a well-recognised standard. From there, they'll create their water reticulation and roof water plans, tables, and then they present a set of plans. And one of the main things that we try to get them to do is present a very, very good portfolio of plans, a well-presented set of plans. So it's the presentation is very high and the content. And those are the two things we push a lot. We then go on to road design. And in this area, we then reinforce a lot of the things that they have done through their civil design and road design in there, but we then take them into the 12D area. So they are able to do quite a few, or they cover quite a few areas in their road design, and we start off by telling them hierarchies of roads. We go through pavement design, and we just keep forming and forming up their knowledge as such. And from this knowledge, we then go in and start into their 12D. So as you can see from this slide, there is a number of things that we cover. This is the curriculum for the course. And so there is a lot of areas we have to cover. It's done in 18 weeks, and they are doing 5.5 hours a week. So there is a lot of things to cover. We try to open it up as much as possible, give them as many examples as possible, so that when they get out into that big wide world, they have a good idea of taking the blinkers off and looking outside the box. And that's one of the most important things we consider the future of road design. So in their horizontal alignments, they'll go through, and I'm not going to read everything out, but you can see the things that they cover. We go into each of these subjects. There are some subjects we cover more than others. So we will go in and look at super elevation, we'll look at road widening and intersections. And then when we look at the intersections, of course, we're looking at the line marking, road furniture as we go. So we give them that good grounding through there. Vertical alignments, a lovely bit of road that is there. And of course, we then get in and look at all the standards of vertical alignments and try to get them to understand sight distances and riding comforts and so on and so on. Cross sections, very important cross sections, and we're not just limiting ourselves to a rural road or a major road. We try to cover all our bases. One of the most important things is we give them as much information as we can, but give them the want to go out and look up more. And so they will do a little bit of research and find out a lot more about it. And that is a big thing today. Your internet is open, and so they've got the ability to work through and find a lot more information than ever was possible. Our intersections, we don't quite go into intersections like this one, but again, you can see the number of things that we have to cover. So again, it's a solid grounding that we're trying to give them, and then they let them go into the nitty-gritty. Now 12D, and this is really important to them. By this stage, we're in about 6 weeks, and they are itching to get into the software. They've heard about it. It's this big bit of software that that's all they want to use. And so at this stage, we take them in, and we take it through a greenfield site. So one of the most important things we have to show them is how to take a project from square one all the way through. Now we have basically the 12 weeks, which is 66 hours, that we have to teach them from a student that knows nothing about the software and limited road design through to what we want as a competent designer. And that's very important to us because as they come out to you, we want them to be competent, so you will take them on without any doubts. So you can see there that we go through a number of things. All of these are contained within a workbook, and that workbook originally written by my colleague Steve Houghton of SKM, and we're going through, I've just run another version of it. The unfortunate thing is, after watching Peter Tainton's deliveries, I'm going to have to change a whole lot more. So thank you, Peter. So we can see through here that 12D is covered in a number of areas, and most of you will realise that is the standard way that we go through the normal process of design. So here's some examples of the plans that the students have to submit at the end of the semester. We give them extra marks if they get their 3D in, and they love looking at the 3D. It's one of the comments that they mention most. Both plans, longitudinal sections and cross sections. You can see that old favourite, the Barwon job. Very difficult terrain, lots of volumes, so it really does test them out. And it is quite interesting at times to see the designs that have been originated out of this. So this is what they're required to do for their final submission. It is worth 60% of their marks, so it is quite a critical part of their course, and there are, as you can see, a number of things there that need to be looked at. As I said, we do have some interesting things. We have a number of international students and a number of students that are not well versed in English at times, and I say at times. So you can see the subtle excavation, subtle grade, model flyers. These are the things that they refer to because they know no difference. So, and if you're wondering, that's a little road in Argentina. It used to take 2 hours to do the trip, now it takes half an hour. Big pros are, of course, the 3D. They love getting in, orbiting round and running through their job, driving along the road. So a lot of them can't wait to get to the end so they can do that drive along the road. So that's very important to them. So our big thing is that we need a lot of feedback from you. You're our client. You're the person that we deliver to, and hopefully we deliver a very good product. But without your help and telling us what you would like, whether there is something in the software that you would like taught more than something else, or the other thing that we'd like is projects. If you have some projects that you would like to send to us that we could use for the students, another big problem with us is plagiarism and the copying. So if there is anything that you can help us with, please, there are our contact numbers, and I'd like to thank you very much for this morning. Thank you, Basil, and thank you, Lee and Alan.
Thank you very much. So if anyone can answer the student questions there, let them know so you can say what they can do in 12D, since you're all the expert operators. The good thing is, with our courses, we put a proviso there that the 12D courses are not there to teach people to be a road designer. We're only there to teach people how to use 12D if they know how to be a road designer. So the Institute is there giving them all that background things, the knowledge they should have, that we're not going to try and do in our courses at all. We just go very quickly through how to use 12D if you already know how to be a road designer, or how to use 12D for surveying is if you already know how to be a surveyor, and the same thing for drainage. The important thing that Basil has done there is now that the courses in the Institute of Technology are then acknowledged by the universities, so the students who go through there can continue on in a university degree, and I think they're all the things they do are part of then the course. So it now does fully go all the way through, and that was a very, very big thing that Basil had to push through. And I think the Institute of Engineers are also coming on board with it and allowing the students to be part of associate members if they have done these courses. So finally, people can go right through the system, do their road design, but then still continue on and get a university degree. So thank you very much. Thanks both of you also for pushing all those things through for what used to be the TAFE, the Institute, who supplied quite a few of the people to Queensland. So thanks.